Hello again, everybody. This is Cynics, and I felt like doing another episode of ArtCraft. So, in case you don't remember, ArtCraft is a little video series I do once in a while, which basically is just meant to explore other avenues of creativity in less traditional ways. So last time we made a pixelator, which was definitely more on the crafty side of things. But basically, it's just any sort of activity that can either inspire creativity inside us or maybe just make the world a more interesting or strange place, or, it's just basically an excuse to have fun. So in this episode of ArtCraft, we're going to talk about glitch art. And if you don't know what glitch art is, it's basically just the idea of the glitches in the things we see around us. Obviously, we live in a very technological age where there's computers all around us and video screens, and this is just kind of an exploration of when things go wrong or when things don't quite work right. You sometimes get interesting effects, and it's a lot of fun to play with. Now, I guess you could say that real glitch art is what happens by accident in the world around us. So maybe you're out and about and you see like a video screen, that's advertising whatever on the subway, and maybe it's broken and it's displaying all kinds of weird pixels and things like that. That would be true glitch art, the unplanned, the wild glitch art. So that's what a lot of people like to document, and there's people that take pictures of it, and it's just kind of an interesting little facet of society. But today we're going to talk, I guess, a little bit more about something we can call data bending, which is basically making glitch art on purpose. So we're going to mess around with stuff on our computer. I think we'll do some images, we'll do some animated images, and we'll do some maybe audio files. Yeah, we'll try some audio files. And we'll also try to data bend some movies. So that's about it. We're going to explore different ways to create glitch art, and hopefully it'll be fun. I know some of you aren't that into, these ArtCraft videos because you just want to see me paint and do stuff like that, but a lot of times it's good to just take a break from painting and doing the very direct stuff, and just kind of let your mind go and explore any weird like facet of creativity that you can. So some of you might enjoy this and have a lot of fun with it. Some of you can just turn it off now and skip it. But I think it's fun. I have a small history of messing with data, in that I used to be a bit of a game hacker when I was a younger person. And by game hacking, I don't mean what you think of. Most people think of when they hear game hacking is like using cheats or cheating, like using hacks that were made to cheat in video games, maybe wall hacks and stuff like that. But no, when I mention like game hacking, I'm more specifically talking about getting my hands dirty inside the data of like an online game, and really just like tinkering around in there and trying to create weird anomalies and bugs, and just kind of, I don't know, anything fun, not for the purpose of cheating, but more like a puzzle. So that's what this stuff is, basically. It's like a puzzle. So if you're into like puzzles and, kind of dissecting things, taking apart watches, and, just doing weird stuff like that, then maybe you'll enjoy all this. So I've prepared a small poo-poo platter of different types of files, kind of organized by file types. And I'm just going to use these to demonstrate some of the different methods for creating glitch art or data bending. So we'll start off, I think, with the most basic kind of introduction to creating a glitch art piece. And that's going to be just taking a JPEG image, which I'm sure everyone has a lot of. This is our self-portrait from earlier in the week, or I should say my self-portrait from earlier in the week. And we're just going to take this and we're going to mess with it a bit. So the first, most basic method is just to rename it. And we're going to change this from a JPEG into a text file. And of course, Windows doesn't want us to do that because it'll become unusable or unstable, but we're going to do it anyway. So now we have a text file, and you can see it here in Notepad. It's just an assortment of ASCII data. Now, this isn't really a good representation of what the data is in an image, but if you look at the top, this is generally like the header area at the top. You can see some kind of information, some stuff about being RGB, like color information, sRGB. But yeah, so you get all that information, but it's not really the raw format of data. It's just kind of an ASCII representation, which means it's basically just the kind of computer's alphabet of all of its different kind of textual representations. But yeah, obviously the main data of a computer is just zeros and ones, and then if you go above that, you can see the data is compiled into a hexadecimal system, but we'll get to that later. So anyway, this is just an ASCII format since it's text, and we're gonna open this with, let's go with this Notepad++. Now you could just use any text editor or Notepad itself, but Notepad++ is a free program, and it just seems to kind of let you look at the data in a bit more of a, I don't know, a bit more structured way, so we can do our edits and then go back, and it just works better. So Notepad++. So anyway, we're just going to scroll down past the header part because we don't want to mess with that too much. We'll just go to somewhere in the middle, and we're just going to, I don't know, select anywhere and just write something. So I'll write my name, Synix. And you can just write stuff in, you can put spaces around, you can go down somewhere, you can delete stuff, you can go around, you can copy and paste stuff, you can do just basically all sorts of things to mess with this data. And then once you're done, you save it, and we can just close that for now. And let's see what we did. So we're going to just change this back to a JPEG file, and it should look different because we messed with the data. JPEG, and of course, yes, we want to change it, and you can see it's looking pretty crazy there. My head's kind of been chopped up a bit. I look kind of green and dead inside. But yeah, there's like a lot of weird like a movement and kind of glitches and things like that. Oh yeah, you can see like in here all kinds of data just getting messed up. So that's the most basic way I can, you know, kind of introduce you to data bending. But let's try some other things. So the nice thing about Notepad++ is we can just open these image files directly with it. We don't have to do the whole converting to a text file and converting back. So instead, we can just look at the JPEG data in ASCII format without having to switch it. So this is a picture I took a couple weeks ago on a road trip to Arizona. I believe this is Horseshoe Bend. It's, you know, looking down from the cliff. I'm right next to the cliff, which always makes me nervous. But yeah, looking down from the cliff into the Colorado River, and there's like a nice little horseshoe-shaped bend in the river. But anyway, we're just going to mess with this. So let's scroll down a bit, and I don't know, let's try copying and pasting. So we'll just paste random stuff around, maybe copy something else, maybe just delete a bunch of stuff too. And we can save this and see what it does right away. So there you go, it's kind of red and choppy, and it's very similar to what we had with the last thing where it's just like moving things around. You can see there's like weird data over here, and things are just getting messed up. Now the nice thing about using Notepad++ is you can just undo this stuff. So perhaps if we undo a few of the things we changed, save it again, and it should be slightly less distorted, but it's still pretty distorted. So the nice thing about this method, as opposed to the other one, is you can kind of keep messing with things, undoing things, until you get the really, the effect you want. You can get things to look just how you want, kind of. But obviously, you never know what's going to happen when you just start writing stuff and messing with the files. So it's a lot of trial and error in order to get something that you think is interesting. So you can see like that didn't do much, just writing a little stuff here and there. What else can we do? Just write, you know, hi everyone. I can't spell, but that's okay. And we'll save that. And I think that's about it for this method. So we'll just close this for now. Get out of here. And we'll try something else. So you can see this one's all messed up. This one's nice and messed up. But what we'll do for number 3 here which is also a nice little picture from Arizona. There's like a little box canyon there, and it's really pretty, and like the sand flows from the top, and it's quite beautiful. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. What we'll do with this one is we're going to open it with a Hex Editor. So you can get free Hex Editors online. You can look for different ones, but let's see. We're going to open up our Hex Editor, and we'll just drag this in real fast. So this is the hex data, and I kind of mentioned that before. This is, a step above binary, but this is hex. So it's all just in numbers, of 256. So obviously there's 0, 0, which is 0, and then there's FF, which is 256. And I guess you can look up, more about hexadecimal systems on your own, but yeah, that's just a basic explanation. So the numbers go from 0 to 9, then A to F, and those are like 16 numbers in their structure. But you can see the ASCII data is actually over here, and all of this hex data actually is what generates this ASCII craziness. So you can see that on the side. And I think we'll just mess with this for a little bit. So once again, like the other things, we can't just type in anything, since I can type in like a weird letter and it won't work. So we're just going to kind of mess with things a bit, making some numbers here and there. And this is kind of a more raw look at the data, so the changes probably won't be as strong. But let's see if anything changed. Yeah, a little bit, but the changes are kind of more minor just because of the rawness of the data. So that's a little interesting, but let's really just mess up this file. So what we're going to do, and this is really nice about a hex editor, is it can do this a lot faster. So we're just going to find and replace everything of a certain hex value. So let's see, replace, and we have some stuff here. You want to select hex value, so you're not editing other stuff. But yeah, let's just maybe go with like a 2F, and we'll replace all versions of 2F with 3D. Okay, replace all. So there were only 133 of those, but that's okay. Let's see what that did. So we'll save it. And this is going to really mess it up. You can see here, it's basically just data soup by this point, and you can keep messing it up like this. But this is where you get some really like data bent looking effects. As you can see, it's just basically bands of color and all that good stuff. But yeah, so that's certainly an interesting method. And let's get rid of this for now. I think we're done with it. So yeah, and the other thing about, I don't know, that's just certain hex editors, but some files, they'll actually make a backup if you mess with them. So that's always nice of them. And I guess I should have mentioned this from the start, but I completely forgot. But the main reason where I made this little, assortment of files in a separate folder, their own folder, is because when you do these kind of modifications, these files are pretty much ruined. So you don't want to do them to original, your only version of a file. You want to definitely make copies of your files first. And then mess with them, because you won't be able to repair these. So yeah, don't forget that. So for this next image, I think we'll try something slightly different. But first of all, we're going to have to corrupt these a bit. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open both of these in Photoshop. So let's see, open with Photoshop. Oh, you can see Photoshop is having trouble reading this. And that's interesting, because it really came out messed up for Photoshop. So let's try something else real fast. Let's open it like this, and then we'll just print screen it and copy that print screen over. So that way we get to look at our image that we've created. So I gotta obviously align this, and there are better ways to do this, but this is fine. And we'll have to do that with the other one, I'm guessing too, because this one is even far more gone than the other one. Okay, so print screen, if I can see my keyboard. So now we have a couple really messed up images in Photoshop. So we can try all sorts of things. We can, obviously there's a whole other aspect to glitch art, which isn't making glitches or data bending, but it's creating the illusion of glitches. And I'll get into that a little bit more later, but I just wanted to hint at that so we can try, making things look glitchy. We can do overlay. That's not very exciting. Or, soft light. That might be better. But yeah, let's just kind of mess with that for a while. And then what I'm gonna do is, oh wow, okay, actually just doing that kind of, change things up. And you can see how that kind of pops this phase out away from the glitches. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But you can see how you can, I don't know, you could probably pop out a whole character from a glitchy background and just do all sorts of interesting things using your glitch art, using other stuff, and I don't know, I think it has potential to be interesting. So difference, exclusion, who knows what you can do. That's just something to play with and mess with and have fun with. So for now, I'm just going to delete this. Don't really care that much. Nothing interesting came from it. So let's move on. So anyway, so far we've just been messing with JPEG files, but that's only one type of compression. And when I speak about compression, that's basically the computer kind of really compressing the data into a very specific format so that it can read it again and produce an image file instead of saving, tons of information in a raw image file. So JPEGs are a really strong compression. They make your image nice and small versus, say, I don't know, a bitmap, which is very raw. It contains a ton of data in very little compression, and those files are huge. So that's why we make things in JPEG, so we can share them on the internet and, and then keep them sizes down so we're not wasting all of our computer space. But let's try some other ones, because there's a lot of different types of compression, and because they store the data differently, they should produce different results. So you can see the JPEG stuff. I mainly just get bands of color when I mess with them. But here is a ping file, PNG, and it's of that robot we did. And let's try to mess with that one with our Notepad editor. So I'll open this, keep it over here, just so you can see what's going on. And let's see, what can we do with this one? Let's go down a bit. Once again, we'll just start off simple. Let's just, I don't know, write our name, Senix, and see what that does. Wow, see, minor change and the data just got crazy on us. So that's interesting. Okay, so that's an example of messing with a PNG. And that goes for pretty much any file type. So, once again, it's just a wide world of exploration. But the next thing I want to look at is GIF animations or GIF animations. I think you can pretty much say it either way by now. People used to get really mad if you said it wrong, but I think we're past that point of time. So here's a little animation I made in Painter a few years ago. And Painter is a weird place to make an animation. And I just kind of drew some legs and painted them because I was practicing my skin tones, actually. So I thought that would be a fun way to do it because you get to look at the result and it's just kind of fun. So I made those little legs. They might look a little awkward because I just kind of made up a walk animation really, just on the spot. But anyway, we're going to try to mess with a GIF file now. So we'll edit it with Notepad, just like we've been doing, since this is just the fastest way to do things. And what we're going to do, we're just going to, I don't know, once again, let's try our write our name method. File, save, and let's see what that does. Now that really kind of, I don't know, it added some blockiness. But the thing that happens when you mess with the GIF animation is it usually just kind of breaks it. It's very hard to edit a GIF and have it look proper. So we're going to try once again, maybe do some more edits, see if we could get something going on. File, save it. Okay, let's see what that did. So now it's just kind of stuttering between a couple frames. And that's what will usually happen when you try to edit a GIF. So that's no fun, is it? So instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this cool little animation I made of a guy walking. He's very stylish and happy. And I'm going to dissect it or deconstruct it in Photoshop. I'm going to take each frame and then mess with each frame individually as images and then put them back together. And hopefully, I've never tried it before, but hopefully that will create some, I don't know, something interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what it does. So anyway, I'm going to speed the video up now. So obviously it'll take me a little bit of time to, do all that work. So I'm just going to speed things up and I'll be back shortly. Finally, after much work, we are back, and this is the final result, which is absolutely ridiculous and awesome. I kind of like it. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. It just looks like something went terribly wrong, yet awesome at the same time. So anyway, that's one long example of what you can do with messing around. And let's see. I think next we're going to jump into something completely different. We're done with these static images and stuff like that for now. We'll get back to it maybe. But for now, we're going to move on and mess with some videos. So let me show you real fast what this video looks like. And we're going to go for our next method, which is a very fun method. And that is to use Audacity. So let me shrink this down a little bit. Now, Audacity is an open source free program that does like audio editing and recording. And in fact, I normally use Audacity when I'm recording commentary for my videos, except for this time because I'm doing live commentary. But normally I use this and I just kind of record my microphone. But the very interesting thing about Audacity is it has this feature called import raw data. Now this will let you import absolutely anything, and it will let you import it as an audio, like raw audio file. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our movie and we're going to open that one. And this is very important. Our encoding is going to be, let's make it A-law. You can do U-law or A-law, but these are basically the rawest forms. And we don't want anything messing with the data. Because we don't want any new headers, because that will just make it not a movie anymore. A header is basically the first part of the file data, which tells you what kind of file it is, and then there's just information data after it. So we're going to do Big Endian, and we're going to make it one channel. Now we're going to import it, and this is what it looks like. This is our movie file as a sound file, and if we play it, it's just going to sound like white noise, like shh. So I'm not going to bother with that. But what we're going to try to do is take the first little section here, which is where the header is, and we're going to mess with it just a little bit. So a good thing to do maybe is try echo. Echo is an interesting thing. Oh, I guess I should mention I'm up in the effects section, and this is where a lot of the interesting data bending is going to come from. You open your file as raw data, and then you can kind of mess with it a little bit by doing different effects. So Audacity has a bunch of different effects. Some of them are very noticeable, but some of them are kind of minor, like echo. So you can actually play with this. You can change the delay time. We can make it smaller. You can make it bigger. You can do whatever you want, and the factor. But we're just going to mess with it a little bit, and then we're going to export this. So where's my thing? Here it is. Okay, so we're going to export it, and we're going to make sure we export it as an uncompressed file, because once again, we want it to be raw data. And our options are raw. That's what we want our header to be, which is headerless. So it's not going to give any new headers, and our encoding has to match what we imported as. So we're going to do A-law. Okay, now this will import it as a just default. It will be a RAW file, a raw file. But we can actually name it here just to save ourselves a step. So I'm going to name it movie, and it'll save it back as a movie file. So yes, obviously it's kind of messed up, and we're gonna actually replace the one we have. Sure, why not? We got backups. And okay, so hopefully, where is it? Okay, hopefully this is still playable. I don't know if it'll be. But it seems like it's gonna let us play it. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of a funny little edit, and it didn't do much. It did very minor things. You can mess with it more. I actually messed with the little intro clip that I played at the start of the video, so you might have noticed that's very messed up because I really tried to crank it out. Wait, that didn't sound right. But anyway, yeah, that's one thing to do. And I think what we can try with this one, which is just a little video of my bird eating food. How cute. Look at my bird. Just likes to sit on its food bowl and play with its bells. But anyway, what we're going to do with this one is maybe, I don't know, let's import it first of all in Audacity. Once again, I'll try to speed this up. Import raw data. Hopefully you've picked that up, and we're going to go movie 2 and open. Hopefully it doesn't save our settings, so we just got to change them back real fast. Import. Okay, so we're back here, and I think what we're gonna do is maybe we can combine it with some audio stuff. I don't know how well this will work. Before we do that, no, I don't know. Let's add a little echo at first, just for fun. Okay, but now we're going to combine it with a audio file, and I don't know if this will work. It's very kind of, hit and miss if it actually does anything, and I haven't really experimented that much. I'm going to import an audio, and I think I have something here. Yeah, we'll just do this one. Okay, so here's the audio file. We're just going to make that mono for now. And I don't know, what can we do here? Maybe if we don't mess with the header on this one, can make it silent. And how about if we just make the whole thing really quiet? That might do something for us. Okay, so let's try that. Just gonna select it, effect, amplify, we'll make it real quiet. So it's barely anything there, or maybe a little louder than that. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so it's just very little data being added. And now we'll mix them together, and hopefully we get something strange. Okay, so let's try this real fast, and this is the last we're going to mess with it. If nothing happens, that's fine. It's no big deal. Export movie. We'll save it as a different one so I can show them in post. Save. Yes. Okay, let's try this one. So for these next couple videos, I think I'll just speed this part up and maybe show you the results. We'll see what happens, but I'll be back shortly. And you can see the effect it kind of has, where it tries to turn everything into just a very blocky kind of pixel looking shapes. Alright, I think that's enough messing around with movies for now. Let's move on to audio files. So the first thing I guess I can mention is that there are different types, much like images. So there's MP3s, there's WAV files, and there's kind of different audio files of varying compressions. And a WAV file is very uncompressed. So if I was to like open this in a Notepad and change some stuff, you probably wouldn't even notice anything. It would take a lot of editing, and I don't know if anything good could come out of it. But there is something really easy to do with WAV files, and that is that you can just create fake glitches in Audacity or any program. Basically the illusion of something broken or glitchy, like I've talked about before, this concept of creating things that simulate simulate, that's not a word, that simulate a glitched out or data bent file. So for instance, if you were to say just open a regular WAV file in Audacity, we'll just open this one. And let's make that one track so it's easier. Yeah, stereo to mono. Okay, so we have an audio file here, and I'll play it for you once.
Hey everyone,
so you know what it sounds like.
Here, and I just wanted to do a short video talking about my experiences in the art world and things like that.
So that's just a basic, audio clip from one of the old videos. So what you can do is you can just take little chunks of it, and you can do things like repeat them. So you can repeat this a whole bunch of times if you want, and this will just make it sound crazy. So you do stuff like that, and you get interesting effects. So I think that's about it for what I wanted to mention about, creating fake things. Obviously, you can do all types of stuff, mess with the levels, mess with the pitches, speeds, and of course, I think repeating always sounds a little funny. So we can repeat this one a couple times. Maybe we'll go over here. We'll do a reverse, and then we'll just, make it nice and clean. And, all sorts of things like that.
Hey everyone, Cynics here, and I just wanted to do a short video talking about my experiences in the art world and things like that.
You can text edit them. It will usually just, I don't know, mess them up or not do anything noticeable. But what we're going to do is something completely different. We're going to convert this into a raw file. And a raw file, a raw file is an image file that you can look at in Photoshop. So we're going to make this song an image. There. So we're going to go into Photoshop now. And this is what our song looks like in image format. So let's zoom all the way in. This is 100%. You can see it's this little black and white specks of data. So probably like a binary type thing going on. So let's zoom back out so we can see the whole thing. And this is our data file, and we're going to mess with this in an interesting way. We can kind of just play with it however we want. We can say select a big chunk and use our like clone stamping tool to like make it look all distorted. That's gonna obviously take a while because I didn't realize. Yeah, okay, like you can do stuff like that. I think what we'll do is try something a little bit more personal for this one. So I'm gonna make a new new layer real fast, and we'll just write our name like we've been doing on a lot of things. Cynics. Okay, let's make that a lot bigger though. Or I guess the fastest way to make it bigger is just to rasterize the layer and then just enlarge it. Okay. Transform, scale, make this nice and big for us. Okay, so now we're going to select it. My throat's getting a bit dry over here. And we're just going to go down to the layer below. We have our selection. It's like a cutout selection of our name. We're going to copy, and we're going to paste. So you can see, ooh, it says Cynics there. And we're just going to move that around to different parts of the file and see what happens. Okay, so we moved it around a couple times, and then we're just going to merge everything together. Yes. Now, one of the things we're going to do for this one is we're going to save it as a bitmap instead of a raw file. So it looks like we already have it ready to go. So mp3 glitch1.bitmap. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to save it all in black and white. So just a standard 8-bit Windows format. That should be fine. All right, so now we're done there. Go back to our file. We'll have our bitmap right here, which we can look at. And we're going to just change it back to an MP3. And when we do this, hopefully it will play a song for us. Yes. So let's see what it plays. So you can try that with other files, and this is definitely one of those things where it's probably hard to make something that you're like proud of and want to share. But you can use this to create maybe like clips of audio, maybe splice it together with something more melodic, make it more melodic, and you probably could make an interesting, song, an actual listen-toable song using this stuff. But for now, we're just kind of messing around. We're exploring this. So we can do that for all these. Let's see, I'll make this one raw too. Rename raw, and I think I'll just speed this up and come back to you in the end with hopefully some audio clips. So it's time to go back to speed up zone.
Troublesome, double front, away to bring the bus, the T-Red as a liberation. We ready to put the generator, so get a trip.
So there we go. I'm just going to play some of the clips from those audio files over the part where I was working on them, and hopefully that was an interesting audio thing. I'm saying that right now, but I haven't heard them, so I'll get to listen to them later, and hopefully there's something interesting. You'll get to listen to them in my future past. But anyway, I think that's about it. We've explored text editing, Hex editing, Audacity editing, and now raw Photoshop editing. So we've glitched out a bunch of different file types, and I think I'll close this out by messing with a couple more image files. So let's see what we can do to this one right here. Who's that cool guy? I think I was slightly drunk at the time, but there's me with some silly glasses on my head, and I'm going to mess with this because what I wanted to do was take an image file, as it's like a static image file, and then glitch a bunch of them, like copies of them in different ways, and then combine it into an animation. So I think that might be an interesting thing to try. I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully it turns out good. So let's just do basic Notepad edits. And I think I'll speed this up a little bit and be with you shortly. Phew, okay, I think we're about done. As you can see though, you can mess with images and GIFs in Audacity, so that is one other thing that I should note. Once again, just like doing the other stuff, you just do a raw edit. So let's see, let's open Audacity real fast. I have one last image that hasn't been messed with, and we're just gonna open that one in Audacity. So let's see what we got. Import raw data. Where are you? Here you are. Open. We're gonna do same old thing, big Indian, A-law, and you can mess with the sample rate. I think that does kind of mess with things a little bit, but your mileage may vary. So let's import this, and we have our weird file here. Maybe we could do some kind of echo stuff, see what that does. And let's see if that does anything. Just that. I don't know if it will or not, but here's hoping for the best. So I'll just save that as file beat. And alright. And it pretty much just kind of broke it, but you can see there's some stuff going on there at the top. Okay, so I don't know. I'm sure there's ways to make interesting edits doing this kind of weird technique, but you'll have to experiment on your own. As for me, I guess we'll get back to doing the regular art stuff, and this was a fun little detour and a fun video to make. But I'm gonna have to talk to you guys later, and I'll probably be back with a new design lab shortly. One last try. What do we get? Let's see what we get. Will we get something amazing? We got barely anything, but at least it's visible. Okay, so I'll see you guys soon.
Really?